Welcome back to the most professional StarCraft 2, with the greatest player of all time. In the red, the finisher. It's Serral. Facing off against arguably the best Protoss in the world. In the blue, the mysterious MaxPax. A best of 7 Protoss versus Zerg showdown. The absolute best of the best. But first, I'd like to appeal to the best of the rest. And it'd be awesome if you could smash that like button. And maybe even subscribe and help me counter the algorithm. And Jimmy, what are we at? 1,590 likes on this video, on this cast, and I'll cast another one. And I'll probably do it anyways, because I don't know what else I'd do with my life. But thank you for watching. Hopefully, you've had a good day so far, and hopefully it's about to get just a little bit better. And MaxPax already with a pylon, a gate, a cyber core on the low ground, right equidistant to the Nexus, leaving some space for a shield battery. Be like, that's standard, that's normal. And that's how you know it's not hero. And, of course, you could look at the nameplates, but if Protoss players could read, that would make things a lot simpler. First things first, though, an Oracle is on the way. And with the addition of energy recharge, not too long ago, 5 months in StarCraft 2 time is like 5 years anywhere else with how quickly we get changes. It's a little depressing. But the energy recharge, taking 50 energy from the Nexus, replacing shield battery overcharge, slapping it into an Oracle, boom, 100 energy. Now, you can't put it on a Nexus itself. 1 minute cooldown. Only on units and a shield battery. Otherwise, that would break the rules of space magic and, more importantly, the Balance Council's sensibilities. But it allows a single Oracle to do the job of what would have before been 2 or 3. Having an Oracle with 150 energy allows you to just casually burn half a dozen drones, then maybe lay down a stasis or a revelation with still energy to spare. And the knitting needles of the queens, enough to make the Oracle slightly uncomfortable before it flies away, taunting the queens the entire time. And Moracles in production. We'll see if he goes up to the lauded Foracles, as was written in the Loracles. Not even being rhetorical. Though sometimes I think I'm a little deplorable. No Moracle. Second Oracle comes in. Another drone. Queens just kind of going back and forth trying to figure out where to actually target anything. And so far, MaxPax comfortably taking his third. In fact, his third Nexus is already done. That's one of the quickest third bases. Literally just Oracles to protect it. And oh no! Well, 1 queen assassinated on her own. 2 Oracles hunting her down, and there's not enough energy for transfuse. A second queen. And a few drones. Well, this is like waking up on the wrong side of the bed, and your bed is on fire. And you roll out of bed, and the fire's out, but it's not great. It's gonna ruin your whole day at least. One of those scenarios that dealing with the early pressure, there's no direct answer. Especially with queenflation hitting harder than ever. Queen's now 175 minerals as opposed to 150. Though hatcheries are technically 25 minerals less, which people who don't understand Zerg at all will tell you balances out. But Oracle cleaning up some of the creep tumors all on its own. But Serral now in a less than ideal position. +1 melee attack is in production. He's building a 4th base, but MaxPax is similar worker count. He's got Blink on the way, more gates. The Blink follow-up with the Oracle still overhead means really all you can do is counterattack or play defense. The Oracles with stasis or the ability to just light up means very difficult to hold on to your 4th base, and that's why I think that first one is a decoy. There's no way Serral can defend this directly. He's just giving it up to try to at least hope that his 6 o'clock base lives. The Oracle's a stasis at the back. Gonna be a stasis ward around every corner. That's MaxPax's campaign promise. The Zerg, not so hyped about it. Zergling counterattack attempted, but MaxPax already He has a Adept in the wall, a setup at the 3rd. Saves an Overlord, but it's not enough. Stasis triggered, catches a few lings. And technically, Stasis doesn't kill anything. It just allows you to pare down the Zergling count into bite-sized pieces, which are very small considering Protoss don't have mouths. Blinks away again after killing an Ovi. Hydraless Den is in production. Small counterattack with whatever Zerglings were left over. And now the Zerglings coming around. There's a Stasis in the corner. Does Serral see it? They are cloaked. I don't believe he has an Overseer. Usually just trigger him by walking over them. Which is the least fun, but the most simple way to do so. And stop right there, criminal scum. He could not have scripted that better. Exactly enough Zerglings to create something of a force field while still having Zerglings to kill with the rest of the Stalkers. Another Stasis at the back. The Zerglings wrapping around. And Oracles light up and burn away. The Queen's trying to get close enough to get some shots on him. Another Stasis will whittle things down, but the Zerglings are chasing. He'll be able to grab the ankles of a couple of those Stalkers as they retreat to the 4th, but MaxPax has more workers, the same amount of bases, similar upgrades. Right now, Serral has got to be thinking, well, what is left for me? Hydras, Lings, and Banes are... MaxPax takes game number 1. Not the most climactic victory. Looking more like one of my latter games, but usually I like to stay in the game a little bit longer and then just complain about Protoss for several more minutes until they turtle to carriers in a game I was never going to win. But Serral, being the top-tier player he is, much more efficient, types GG, and we'll move on to Talisman. MaxPax with a decisive and also incredibly concerning victory in game number 1. That was literally the textbook. That was the 3 Oracles into Blink +1, and then Charge, Storm, like all the fixins. I could have predicted that build from the start of the game. MaxPax could have told Serral what he was doing. And in fact, MaxPax has probably played against Serral and done exactly that. Dozens, if not hundreds of times. But... okay, no, none of that. Moving on with our lives, because Serral is proxy hatching. Here on Talisman, one of our community maps, a map that, well, one, neither player's played as much. It's not on the ladder pool, which doesn't change nearly enough for my liking. That means, just by its very nature, not nearly as much practice. And Serral has figured something out. There is a mineral wall and a worker-only path. I'm not sure how either of those are relevant, but right now, there's a spawning pool on the way. This is not... Occasionally, Serral will do like a proxy hatch to block the natural or something, but the drones are coming off the line. The probe is there to see it. It's going to become very clear very quickly that these drones are not going to some sort of hidden 3rd base. No, they're going directly across the map. And I don't actually know how many minerals are in this mineral wall. I assume Serral does. And it looks like the drones are timed almost perfectly to start mining the moment the hatchery finishes. MaxPax knows now. He sees the hatch with the probe. There's like 100 minerals, but they're 7 at a time, so like 8 or 9 trips. And the cyber core is not yet done. He uses the worker-only path to get up to the high ground so he can spot... I don't think you can wall this off. Even if he built a pylon up here, I don't know if he could wall it off in time. He's just using his normal 2nd pylon. Shield battery on the way. This is not dark. And this is not hero. I know, once again, I'm glad I learned how to read, but these are some very calculated moves by both sides right now. Very much so Serral, who has clearly worked this out, and we've arrived. Well, I'm arrived. Technically, the royal we. I'm a queen. The royal we. Brenda, stop. Stop it. Shield battery is intact. The queen gonna trade some shots, and draining the energy is useful. Not exactly the most important thing right now. Kills one of the drones. Serral is all in. All his cards are on the table, and then he flipped the table and threw it to the other side of the map. And we'll just see who's able to pick up the pieces. MaxPax with a second shield battery. A Baneling nest is behind this. A good old-fashioned Baneling bust. As a second queen comes out, Adept Shade back home, and Serral is looking to be busting through. The MaxPax with just enough space to jam the Adepts in. Energy recharge on the shield battery, but the shield batteries need an HP recharge. Unfortunately, with this many queens and Zerglings, they're not going to get it. Falling back with the batteries. And Serral maybe has an opportunity to come in with the Zerglings, but he clearly is waiting out the Banelings. And MaxPax's not going to go any further out. Does not want to risk getting surrounded and cut to pieces. He's going for a counter proxy gate. 5 Banelings in production, but the creep has spread all the way into the main base. And we're 4 minutes in. I don't know how many more this game will last. A sentry is out. Energy recharge. Still 20 seconds out. He goes to the natural. There's nothing there to defend. A single shield battery. A couple of Adepts warped in. The Banelings, Queens with enough energy to transfuse. Banelings splitting the difference. Force field optimistic. I'm not sure if he wanted the wall to ramp or not. But a few more Zerglings. A few more Adepts torn to pieces at the natural. Another Baneling coming down. The Queens transfuse one another. And Serral being very technical with this all-out Baneling bust. Like doing surgery with a spatula right now. As the Queens slapping their way through the probes, the Zerglings clawing at the Adepts, surrounding everything they can get a hold of, and running away from that which they can. But another wave of Banelings is coming in, and where's the light at the end of the tunnel for MaxPax? There's no real response to this. It's just gateway units. Serral's still mining from the semi-gold base. 17 probes slaughtered. And in a very uncharacteristic but incredibly effective display of concentrated, pure, concise cheese, Serral strikes back. Wow. It's been a while since I've seen such a dedicated build out of Serral. He's got the full symphony. But if that was an instrument, it'd be like a piccolo and a hurdy-gurdy. A duet. So 2 instruments. But he's playing them both at the same time. So it's like a duet with yourself. Moving on. Game number 3. Ley lines. Serral's clearly been holding on to that one. That is one of those builds that works only on that map and is very unlikely to work again. And I can't remember the last time in any tournament. Unfortunately, the times of like changing out the map pool in tournaments on a regular basis have mostly passed. Much to my dismay. So, we don't see too many like, I figured out a build sort of strategies. And that feels like a loss. And MaxPax feeling it too after that last game. But, shout out to Pig for his Pigfest tournament, which this is from. And putting on a tournament with unique maps or community maps and allowing for these sort of strategies in these top tier matchups, I really do appreciate it. So if you haven't yet, checked out Pig. You can find it in the description. Jimmy. Be awesome to check them out. Thank you for watching. And thank you to Pig. Alright, I think we're going to get back to basics though. Ley lines, probably our least offensive map. Both figuratively and sometimes literally. The map that almost never gets banned is it's so aggressively standard. Yeah, you have like the rich vest being kind of blocked in by a small mineral patch, but you've got your option for 4th bases. There's places you can turtle up. There's some open field in the center. It is a very common and very figured out map. So we'll have to see. I would say so far that favors MaxPax, but I seriously doubt Serral is gonna keel over like he did in game number 1. That was a little embarrassing though, I will say. He wouldn't just go... No, he would go Stargate again. He'd very much go Stargate again, and he probably will go Stargate again. There's very simply... The Stargate can lead into anything else. The Stargate is like the opener. It's like building a Nexus 90% of the time in this matchup. For better or worse, having a Stargate keeps you safe, allows you to have scouting information. It's your early defense. What's not to love? Retirement fund. It's your early game. You're like, we don't need to add a whole brochure of it. But even a single Oracle usually pays for itself, even though it is the cost of a Stargate itself. There's simply nothing Zerg can really do besides, you know, maybe building a hatchery and some queens outside your base to contest it. Adept shading back, gonna come in, take a look at the drone count, which can occasionally be misleading, but getting as much info as possible while putting as little risk out there. 12 Zerglings on the way, which is of concern. A gaggle of Zerglings in production. 12 Zerglings, a little more than you usually would need to deal with a couple of Adepts. So yeah, he's heading directly across the map. The Oracle, one of them halfway done, the other one halfway across the map. He may be able to cancel the third. There's only a single Adept at the back. Splits off a few Lings. That first Oracle not turning around, gonna head directly for the main, but he will cancel the Nexus. Probably the minimum amount of Zerglings to do so, but incredibly well timed. And another Oracle pops out. We'll deal with the Zerglings at home. Near full energy Oracle looking for targets on the other side of the map. And remember, this is going to come as a shock to everyone but you math nerds out there. But when you build that many Zerglings, you've built less drones. So Serral's actually down a couple workers right now. The trade-off is delaying that third Nexus and keeping the Oracles busy. He's actually just trying to dodge it with the Zergling. Successfully does so, loses one or two. So far, Serral off to a much better start than game one. Everything's gone his way so far. And already has the layer in production. 50 drones. He killed that first Adept, and the Oracles did no damage. MaxPax responds with glaives. Oracle comes in. The Queens! Another Adept taken out. Oracle lit up to deal with it. And he just keeps nickel and diming him. An Adept here, an Adept there, a cancel here. Forcing the Oracle to light up. And just like your mom said, turning the lamp on and off, you're going to waste energy. And in this case, every time you activate the Oracle, it costs 25 energy. On top of the energy it costs to maintain the headlamp. Or whatever it is. Technically called pulsar beam. But I'm not here to be pedantic. I'm no beamer. Adept Glaives is most of the way done, but MaxPax without too many Adepts to work with, he's not going to... Even if he shades directly across, there's not going to be that many Adepts. Serral's at 66 drones. He's going for Roaches and Hydras. And against someone who's not going to have splash damage, this feels almost a direct reverse of game one, where Serral felt like he couldn't get anything and then he just got keeled over. Now, here comes MaxPax, 50 shades with glaives, but the Roaches will already be operational by the time your Glaved Adept attack arrives. There's how many Oracles? Just 2. Zergling counter, perfectly timed. Nothing at home to defend, but the Adepts, he walls them out. And with an evolution chamber, he can corral the Adepts with the Roaches. Heading in towards the third, the Zerglings are still getting damage done. A few more Adepts are warped in, but Serral just keeps going. Wow, 10 probes killed, the Queen being hunted. But the Adepts have not adapted well to this situation. And MaxPax is now in Trouble Town. A place where Protoss are not approved of. Just a whole bunch of Roaches. The Oracle's overhead. The Queens? There should be energy for transfuse. Stepping off the creep a bit, but there's just 28 roaches, which, according to my conversion calculator, that is 1 GG of roaches. And the overlords were already pre-creeping. Ah, yes, the Royal Highway. Okay, Brenda, keep it moving. Keep it... The creep highway for the queens and the roach ravager, making sure the oracles don't have an opportunity. Good counterattack with the stasis. Good counterattack with the adept shade. Stasis at home. +1 ground weapons. Walls off with the evo chamber. And that's so much Zerg. A few roaches and ravagers caught in stasis. A few cannons on the way. But the nexus is under attack. And there's so much tide coming in. I don't think there's any pushing it back out. The queen's targeting the oracles. The supply difference is titanic right now. And MaxPax about to be sunk. A very optimistic restart on the third nexus. Blink is technically done. He has +1, the Roach Ravager with perfect micro. Maybe he could delay the inevitable. But Serral is just slamming roaches into production, rallying them across the map, walking into his own corrosive bow, which is maybe a bit much, but the queens still an overlord overhead. And while MaxPax's blink micro is starting to pay off, but again, without a third base, Serral has a fourth. He's trickling out some more Zerglings. The creep is going to be blocking the third, and again, Serral is creeping into MaxPax's base, and there's really nothing he can do about it. All he can do is hope to survive the onslaught of Roach Ravager Zergling. But there is no kicker here. There's no Storm, no Disruptors, no Dark Templar even. There is no recovering from this. A few roaches being cut off at a time. Blinks to the side to take them out, but Serral throwing some Zerglings out in front to tank the damage. Well executed in every sense of the word. A complete turnaround. Serral adapted so quickly to that early pressure and was in the driver's seat the entire game. I keep acting like MaxPax is dead already, and he should be, but his blink micro is so good that he might not see it. Serral takes 2 in a row, and now we got a series. Not even really cheesy, just a few little pressures here and there, even if MaxPax knew that was coming. He needs to get a little bit more done with the oracles, with the adepts. When you commit to that and you get your nexus canceled, you need counter damage. It's required. And he didn't get it. And he paid the price. Game 4. Another community map. Arrowhome. One we've seen kind of adopted by... Okay, it's just a probe. He's sending it directly across. Adopted by most community tournaments at this point. Pretty standard, besides the Death Canyon down the center. There's some watchtowers which can cover the sides. Pretty wide open bases. But a ramp to the natural, which is inherently more defensive. So not even bothering to try to take the natural when the probe is hanging out there loitering. Third base, 9 o'clock position. Extractor and spawning pool. Let's see if Serral tries to sneak out his third before the probe can react to it. I don't even know, like, it's the same start, different outcome on ley lines. Serral just got the jump on it, and the butterfly effect of the Zerglings canceling the third into setting up the Roach Queen timing clearly dictated the pace of things. I think the Adept Glaives were kind of desperate. It felt like, I guess, Adept Glaives and MaxPax is a lot of things, but he's no hero, he's no Zest. Random attack timings don't seem to work for him in the same way they do our more morally flexible Protoss. MaxPax, on the other hand, is a mastermind. He puts it all together, and when the pieces are put in the right spot, it looks unbeatable. Serral, much the same way, though, with the flexibility of Zerg and his incredibly fast adaptation. And now he's already shown he's willing to cheese and throw some all-ins there, so that's in the back of MaxPax's mind as well. Stargate is on the way. He's attempted a third Nexus quite quick. Anything before the 4-minute mark is a very quick Nexus. Protoss have started getting away with it, though, because of the energy recharge Oracle. But MaxPax sent the Oracle directly across, which is a bit greedy. If you want to take a very quick Nexus, Serral exploited that. If he just holds his Oracle at home until a second one is nearly done, it should be a lot safer. But also, you miss the opportunity to potentially do a lot more damage, so that is the trade-off. This time around, couple of depths. Ready to shade in the queens. Wow, he actually gets one. I don't know, Kev. The Zergling's trying to get a little wraparound, box him in for the queens. Get off my creep! Okay, alright. Adept's attempting it. And the Zerglings will immediately be in position at the third. The Oracle turns around, but the probe... And now he's got a bit of a problem. Lights up the Oracle, but the Zergling's already heading the other way, and the Oracle slides out of frame. I don't believe he energy recharged the first one. No. Didn't, So, it still does slow down your potential chrono if you energy recharge. If you do it and you don't end up getting damage done, it's not worth it. Queens ambling up to the natural. No creep there quite yet. Quite a distance. I'll get there eventually. Twilight and Forge. Your stock standard follow-up, but the Blink and +1 have worked well so far. Even last game, where MaxPax got run over, the Blink Stalkers were quite a speed bump. So if we can get straight there, a much better position to be in. +1 melee from Serral. Making sure his Zerglings can claw with the best of them. And much more effective against the Stalkers. Oracles wrap around a few times. 3 drones in total. You got 2 Oracles overall. Trying to save up that gas for Blink and +1. 4 more gates on the way as well. MaxPax making sure he can hit a strong timing. It's not all in, but you really do need to keep the pressure on. Otherwise, Serral's drone count is going to explode. His 4th base is very likely going to come online. Ooh. The Zergling still sharking around back on the other side. Looking for any opportunity. And I think our most even results so far. Neither player with a decisive advantage going into the mid-game. The mid-game, when you start getting your second level of tech, you start hitting 100, 150 supply, you got enough workers to keep up production, 3-4 bases. Late game is when we hit 200 supply, we start working on the unit compositions and seeing if we're cutting the map in half. Early game, of course, is everything before that. But the mid-game is all about either taking a decisive advantage with your early tech, or using it to get more economic advantage, and, as they say, get more ahead. So, shield battery behind. Oracle will help hold the door. Adept in position. Stalkers on the other side of the map. Proxy pylon to support the push. Not too many Stalkers here for now, but another warping. Hydralisk Den just started. +1 melee. 5 seconds out. Actually going to be a little bit quicker. A proxy gate in order to create a super pylon. Warp in 3 times as fast. Baneling Nest is on the way as well. Serral, he knows the danger this poses. He's already expanded to the top left corner. He may give up the 4th. I don't think he necessarily needs to. But he's going to go for the big counterattack instead. Giving up this base. Very optimistic inject on that queen. It pops out, injects the hatchery. Not going to make it, but... Wow. MaxPax denying about 20% of his own mining. Or slowing it down in order to make sure the Zerglings can't do anymore. Zerglings slip through the canyon. An Oracle is burning through. Burninating across the countryside. And the Queens looking to intercept it. No micro there. Another Oracle. And the duel continues. Queens just pushing back Oracles on either side. A few Zealots warped in. The Blink Stalkers will unleash them eventually as the Stagger blink back on the creep. Hydra's joining into the fray. He actually had a few pop out of eggs at the former 4th base. Helping out with the push, but the Stasis catches... Banelings! Oh no, instant replay. Wait, where did they come from? He doesn't even have Bane speed, he just wandered them in. Make sure he doesn't...
Swarm forces.
MaxPax has absolutely no vision of this. He's busy microing his stalkers. Look, so beautiful. So suave. And... Oh no! The Banelings come in and do terrible damage to the probes. 13 probes dead. And, well, if he doesn't lose those probes, MaxPax might have enough army to win this war of attrition, and he still might. But it's a lot closer than it was. The Zerglings come back around, gonna chew a few more probes up. MaxPax continues to warp, and he's got nothing else in production. 3 probes, no upgrades of any kind, no additional tech. It's just the Stalkers. Serral only needs to hold. He's building up the Hydra count. He's got only 58 drones. If that Baneling attack had not done damage, he would be in a very uncomfortable position right now. But as it stands, it depends on the micro. It's impossible to call here. Hydras, Lings, and Banes. MaxPax has enough Stalkers to make a real show of it. And the Stasis, helping against the Banes. They're not particularly great against the Stalkers. It's just helping absorb the damage and zone out the Hydralisks. The Queen, more Zerglings on top of it. Blink Stalkers going forward. Hydras and Zerglings driving them back. Queen's up the Zealots to the north. MaxPax warping in some Templar. Some Archons could turn the tide, but a lot of Stalkers cut out. Many of them bruised so far. Archons morphing, merging, coalescing. I think merging was right. The merging is complete. But is the power overwhelming? Certainly helpful against Lings and Banes, but... +1 versus 1-1. Attack upgrades across the board. Nothing else. One Archon gets surrounded. Queen's helping out with the attack. MaxPax. Zerglings in the 3rd. Zealots in the 4th. Another Archon taken down. MaxPax has evened up the supply. It's just Hydras and Queens. Blink Stalkers blunk back forward. The Zerglings kill a few more probes, but the Zealots delayed the mining at the 4th base, and the Hydras are really struggling to stand up to the Stalkers right now. A few more Zealots warped in. The tug of war continues. Serral down 10 supply. And even without... No, the transfer of drone, not the time! Oh no, typical bureaucracy. Hydras and Lings, the drones somehow make it through the entire battlefield. They got a job to do. Alright, and they don't take 6 days. Zergling triggers the stasis from the back. Serral doing a great job of making sure to mitigate the stasis whenever they come up. There's only 1 Oracle remaining. Serral up just a handful of supply. 94 apiece. MaxPax has a worker lead. Stalkers, Zealots, and Archons up against Hydra, Ling, Bane. A few more Lings split off. The Oracle back at home to defend. Another Archon merging. 4th base attempted by MaxPax. Serral sending a few more Lings, just rally him from that top left base. MaxPax backing off the attack. He might be misreading this. He might not realize how close he is to outright breaking Serral. He's going to back off. And I'm sure Serral is very happy about that. This was Serral holding by the skin of his incredibly weird and questionable Zerg teeth. If MaxPax continues forward, it might end in disaster. But at the same time, it could have been the ticket. And now he's trying for Storm. Storm, obviously incredible. Some Banelings running in, reenacting the Legacy of the Void cinematic there. Zealots throw themselves on it. Serral's still in an incredibly precarious position. Hasn't built a single drone since the attack. He knows he has a somewhat lucky reprieve here. And that Storm is certainly on the way. There is very little chance that Serral could drone up and get to something like Lurkers before MaxPax, who already has Templar, could get to Storm. Storm is 5 seconds out. It will be completed for this next attack. Hydras and Lings ready for the counterattack. What a game. Stasis, not triggered. He actually boxes out Force Field effectively with the Stalkers, triggering more stasis. Banelings actually saved from the Storm with the stasis. Hydras are in the mineral line. As MaxPax tried to zone things out so hard, he kind of abandoned his mineral line overall. And the Storms are piecemeal. Serral weathering them quite well. More Archons coming in, and Archon in the yellow HP. Easily ping cushioned by a single Hydra Spine. 18 probes dead. But now MaxPax is turning it around. The army supply is still dead even. +2 attack is on the way, and Storm still available. How long on energy recharge? 30 seconds. Another benefit. With energy recharge, you can warp in 2 Storms. 50 to 150 energy. But another round of Banelings. There's still 20 seconds on recharge. And that might be 15 too many. Hydras, Lings, and Banes coming in for another round. 52 workers apiece, but that won't last. The third base has been isolated. Serral could just kill all the probes. Banelings rolling in. The Zealots will intercept. Oh no! An entire warp-in was shut down by a Baneling! What a disaster! And it all breaks down. Serral goes to match point. Oh, I need to see. So if a warp-in is killed, it's not canceled. If a pylon is killed, the warp-in is canceled, you get everything back. But I think what happened is the Baneling just wiped out. Oh no! He sent 5 Zealots back to Ire, where there were also a bunch of Zerg. What a disaster for MaxPax. I don't think that would have been the saving grace, but it certainly was the Baneling in the coffin. Serral, now 3 in a row. And MaxPax looking very good, but he didn't have the killer instinct. I think if he continues the attack at the same rate, the same level he was, even though he's taking some damage at home, he breaks through. That Zerg army does not withstand that war of attrition. But Serral, you could see, kind of wondering, like, where'd the army go? He knows how bad of a spot he was in economically. Here's the thing. It's very hard for MaxPax to judge where he's at. There's a real and high chance that Serral just breaks the army on the high ground. If MaxPax misjudges it even a little bit, he decided the higher percentage play was sit back and go to Psionic Storm. Unfortunately, it doesn't pay off. Serral, clearly, you could tell how quickly he wanted to get damage done. He didn't build a single drone for like 4 minutes, knowing he needed to get it done with Hydraling Bane. Because with energy recharge, on a tenuous economy, there is no trading with Storm. Storm is simply better. So Serral needed to overrun MaxPax before he could realize the advantage he had. Serral showing some aggressive and strategically sound play yet again. And MaxPax, a bit timid. Technically incredible, but not finding the timings. Not since game 1. And game 1 was just kind of like going through the motions. Serral just keeled over. Call an ambulance. But not for me, says the finisher. Game 5. Ultra love. And I'd love to see ultras, but the only thing that I love to see that I am likely to get here is you smashing that like button. And maybe even subscribing. These scenarios in which ultras are anywhere close to a practical choice against Protoss are arguably non-existent. Because you have to weigh them against everything else you could be doing that is similar cost. Thing is, it's very difficult, especially against Protoss players like MaxPax who set up their bases so perfectly. They have the right unit composition. By the time you get to the ultras, they're already prepared for them. It's one of those, well, you probably could have won with anything else situations. Occasionally, maybe for wiping out Void Ray. Void Ray in production. Wants to deny that early scouting. And leave his options open. The first real deviation so far. That wasn't forced by a hatchery just sitting at the bottom of his ramp. First Overlord hanging out in this, like, pervert plateau. I think MaxPax intentionally avoiding it in order to guarantee multiple Overlord kills. Yes, it is very rude, but I'm sorry. We don't offer life insurance. Serral with a Zergling counter. Feeling almost like a broken record. With Serral finding these timings. He's going to try it again. This time around, an Oracle with plenty of energy is ready. The third base is on the way. Another Overlord will be taken down with ease. Twilight and Forge in production. As MaxPax just using that Void Ray to clear out the scouting info. Will Serral commit? He gets him to light up the Oracle. It's not much, it's something. You know what would really tie this series together? A Nidus. Channeling his inner darkness. I loved that proxy hatch. And honestly, it's a good time for it. One, he's got games to burn. Two, it's a Void Ray first, which means the Oracles are less likely to scout. He's already got a lot of Zerglings, so he can keep more of the Oracles tied up back at home. Gonna give me my Nidus Serral. He's building 2 more gases, but I have my suspicions it's just going to be a Hydra den. Hydras are still cool. Not as cool as a Nidus, but, you know. Gateway's on the way. Blink +1. There's the Hydra den. We're going to see a similar situation. We'll see how committed MaxPax is. Serral going up to 4 bases, 67 drones. Pretty much full 3 base saturation, then can transfer some over to the 4th. Once that main base starts drying up in a couple minutes now. Oracle's darting in. Queens. Not close enough to do anything more than shout strong words at him. Hydra's in production. At the same time as the Stalker's warping in, MaxPax has chosen a later timing with a stronger backbone. He's going to have a Templar Archives and a Robo on the way, but Serral is leaning directly into the Hydralisks. It is a Hydra risk. If Storm is completed by the time it gets across the map, again, it can be a very uncomfortable situation for the Zerg. But MaxPax might not realize how many Hydras he's already dealing with. Revelation, 1 stasis at the back. The Hydras, he's going for Hydra speed as well, which means he wants to get aggressive. Usually, if you're just playing defensive, you go Hydra range, then speed. So the Hydras have a whole lot of pay-to-win upgrades. But there's the Templar Archives. No Baneling Nest, but Storm is still a couple minutes out. MaxPax must survive. There's 17 Hydras against 15 Stalkers. Storm is not done. There's a single cannon. There's almost nothing. The Zerglings just get in, so that's certainly not an ideal start. You can't just let them in your house. All right, well, this may be over before it started. The Zerglings funneled into the Zealots. Actually, quite a kill box there, but Hydra's just chewing through the Zealots, slipping their way behind the lines, and more Hydras just slithering through the main, depowers the gateways, and oh no. MaxPax is not his day. Serral turns it all around, takes severe offense to game number 1. And 4 games in a row will lay down the hammer on MaxPax, and this time, he's broken. Might be able to warp in energy, recharge a Templar. It appears he doesn't have it on that one. There's nothing left. He's down almost 100 supply. Hydra's beat this army, and MaxPax has been beaten down. Serral with a decisive 4-1 victory. MaxPax on his GG game today, and Serral happy to accept. Wow. It all turned around with the proxy hatch. The cheesiest, but still such a Serral build. I've never seen a more technical cheese. It feels like cheese should be done by, like, finger painting in a dark room, but Serral puts it out in the light and shows exactly how it should be done. It seems so intuitive as well and so effective. And he follows it up with 3 more games of decisive victories. MaxPax, unfortunate series, but Serral proving why he's still the best. Hopefully you enjoyed. Thank you to Pig for putting on this tournament. Make sure to check him out, of course. And I hope I made your day just a little bit better. If you got the means and motivation, be awesome to check out Patreon or YouTube membership. But I hear liking and subscribing is still free, at least for now. So thank you to our Mule Tier patrons for bringing in the extra minerals. Big Jigador, Mario, Suit, and otherwise, thank you for watching. I'll see you next time. Good luck, have fun, stay chill.